It is week number 23 of Let's Chat with Kat and Pat. And in this week, we get back to basics, back to what you guys want to listen to, get back to the exes. And we discuss the dangers versus the realities of being stalked and being told that you are a stalker. Get that? Some people get stalked. Some people are told that they are the stalkers. We'll talk about that. And like Mr. Rogers used to say, welcome to the world of make-believe. All that and more coming up right now on episode number 23 of Let's Chat with Kat and Pat. It is week number 23 of Let's Chat with Kat and Pat. Patrick Gilroy alongside Katrina Pateri here on a Monday night. We're kind of on time, a little frazzled, a little pressed for time.
And exhausted.
And exhausted. We still have our friends. We had a great weekend, and we got home incredibly late last night or early this morning because of weather up and down the coast. So instead of landing at like midnight and getting home around 1, we landed a little after 2 and got home a little after 3. And then the alarms go off. The son gets home first thing this morning, despite the divorce decree being laid out very specifically.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. on transition days during summer vacation. He was here at 7:19?
Yes.
So whatever, it's his house. He's always welcome here. But on the one morning where we were hoping to maybe take a shorter shower, because we still had to get up to go to work, but maximize the sleep, get the extra half an hour, extra 45 minutes, that was not a possibility as he was stomping up and down. He's 13 years old at 200 pounds, and there's no way he can be quiet.
Well, and in order to have enough room for all the kids in the house, our room is actually in the basement.
It is. So, he's right above us as he's lumbering through the house. First thing this morning, after you and I got just a few hours of sleep.
It was a little cat nap.
Oh, look at you. Well played. That's a contender right there for this week's episode title.
Yeah.
All right, Catnap. So we'll recap our trip at some point because we've got another trip to Sarasota coming up in about 6-7 weeks. You've got more work travel coming up. I've got more work travel coming up. We have got another trip to Florida coming up in November, and then we've got the wedding trip to Florida in January, and then the honeymoon trip in February. So we have plenty of time to discuss A, the trips, and B, how you get them for free, because you continue to...
Well, I have to keep hopping on a plane and booking a hotel, so I just rack in those points.
Rack in the points. We maximize the opportunities that are presented to us through both jobs. I'm proud to say that the next time that we travel where we need a rental car, which is why, by the way, Sarasota is so awesome, because we use the company house, but it comes with 2 cars.
Right, so we don't have to rent a car either, which is fantastic.
But
we occasionally have to replace a battery or something.
It's fine, but we don't pay. The company pays for that too.
Well, yeah, and we
just
don't
do the work.
Honestly, I don't mind tinkering around doing the work for it.
It's fun. It's 20-year-old convertible Lexus. It's fun to work on.
Yeah.
It's modern enough to look badass, but old enough to still be kind of mechanical. So it's not computer driven like today's cars are.
Right.
We have a problem with a Lexus. Oh, it's going to be $1,500 to hook it up to our smart computer so AI can figure out what the fuck is wrong with it. At least this car is pre-AI.
Well, we can do some of the old school tricks to figure it out, problem solve, and actually put a key in and turn.
Yeah, there's no more
keys. A nice satisfaction of that.
Whatever business the key people were in, I feel like that business was strong from the early 1800s through the mid 2010s. But if you were in the business of keys, and then the advent of the start button in the car came into play, did you go out of business?
Well, and the codes of the door too.
Right.
Well, I mean, I just feel like they had a shift to learn a new technology and hire a youngin' who can, when your battery dies, how do you get in your house?
But what about all that equipment that you had to own to cut keys and make keys, like metal old school keys? All that equipment once upon a time was worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, and it just got dismissed, thrown away. See you later. We don't use keys anymore. Even now, when we're traveling, whether it's your son or my daughter or my stepson or your stepdaughter, however you want to phrase it, they're both old enough now and both have proven to be reliable enough to come here and take care of the dog.
Yeah.
We don't give them a key to the house.
No, we give them a code, and then what's wonderful is that we get to the ring's going off. They're there.
They can't lie to us.
They're walking out. They're taking the dog.
There's no.
I mean, that is nice. And then we have the camera for the dog, so we can watch the dog.
But they're both crafty teenagers, your early 20s, like they're both crafty kids with other things going on, right? So they make a commitment to us, and we were both teenagers, it feels like not that long ago. And I know I would have done this at least once or twice. I don't know about you. You're a better person than I am. But once upon a time, it would be very easy, especially in a house like ours where we have the auto feeder and the auto water and the doggy door. So Corey, even if we would never do it, but if she were left alone for 2 or 3 days, she'd be fine. Like, she'd be upset with us. She would be crying, but she wouldn't be in danger of dying, or her health would not decline.
She's left with the air conditioner, the auto food,
She's
the
good to
auto
go.
water. Like, she can go back and forth to the bathroom.
So one of these kids could easily justify, I don't feel like it. I had a long day at work, long day at school. I'm not going there today. Corey will be fine. But with the advent of the code for the door, so we know when it's being used, advent of the Ring camera, the cameras inside the house, we know every time one of the children fail us. And it's like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. They haven't showed up yet for the day. It's okay to send a text and be like, what the fuck? You didn't show up.
Well, but the other thing is like, I make like an extra incentive out of it. So I get like the preferred like energy drinks and the sodas and the little snacks and the homemade leftover food that you can just reheat that's in there. And then I trickle in like a few gift cards that I can get from cashing in credit card points.
Yeah, like gift cards for free, but they're like DoorDash ones that they love.
Right. Or like Dunkin' Donuts, like, like they're $10-15, but that and like a couple snacks and like some gummy bears and a few energy drinks. Like, if you speak the teenage language on like, oh, well, she got me stuff, so now I really have to do it.
Yeah, maybe.
Besides the fact that we're paying them.
But, the conscience, I feel like, when you and I were growing up, the conscience was much louder than it is now.
Oh, I was not allowed to not, like, if I committed to something,
you had to do it.
I had to be like dying if I didn't go.
Right, because you made the commitment. And whether that was to a school event, doing a favor for a neighbor, a team, whatever it was, if you made that commitment, it's okay if you hate it. Don't make the commitment again. But as far as that term of whatever that commitment was,
see it through.
You have to see it through to the end, and then we can reevaluate when it's over. That's not the way these kids operate today.
Now we leave little snacks, little drinks, little gift cards, and then when the job is complete, we will pay you for each day that you do. Not one lump sum, but if you missed a day,
you're not
getting paid for that day.
That's it.
Like, we got smart.
We did. Well, we learned by doing. Like, we learned the way that things work around here. And when you first moved in, you did bring your inside cameras, but the Ring was a later addition. Yeah. The new lock without the key was a later addition. And as we took these trips and we had to figure out ways to make sure that we knew what was going on here, it was a very minimal investment. But now we have full disclosure at all times. And there's no bullshitting us. So, like, I feel like one of the jobs we have as parents is always staying one step ahead of the kids. But they are 3 steps ahead technology-wise at all times. So for us to be able to keep up,
I need to be 4 steps ahead technology-wise. So my dad used to always say, I ask questions that I already know the answers to. So be very careful on how you want to respond.
Yeah, that's a lie.
Well, there was a couple times I lied and I freaking got caught.
I use the same thing with Connor all the time. I'm like, so I'll ask him a question and I can tell he's thinking about the answer. So my next response to that is, I can tell you're thinking about the answer, and I appreciate that. Just know, I know the answer to this question, so whatever answer you're crafting, make sure it's in line with the truth, because I already know what happened at school today. I've already had the conversations, but I'm not going to tell you. I want you to tell me.
Yeah, I want to hear your version.
Right. So that's interesting, and you should write that down. That's a whole other, for back to school. We should go down that line.
Back to school tips.
Yeah.
We should do a back to school tip.
We absolutely should.
Yeah.
But for today, we have had a couple of instances in our lives, and in my recent life and your semi-recent life or whatever, where I love talking about the exes on this show. I feel like that's what draws people to this show. And we fly so much. Sometimes we get reminded of one of your best stories. So we're going to tell that story today. And then we're going to couple that with what I'm going through with Connor as of right now on summer vacation.
Wednesday morning, this is a thing.
And it was last Wednesday, the Wednesday before, and will continue to be a thing until the school bus is coming back here at, late August, early September.
Even when the school buses are coming, and then it's the football.
Right. So this is what I deal with. I'm a piece of shit, I'm a scumbag, but hey, you can do me a favor, but by the way, you still gotta make yourself feel like a piece of shit, a scumbag, and continue to damage our son in the meantime. So we'll get to that coming up shortly, because I don't think that that has the impact unless we tell your story first. So we've told the divorce stories. We're not going to rehash those. We know that your ex-husband, number one, decent guy, decent father, been in your life the last 20 years, will continue to be in our lives, unfortunately, until the day I fucking die. But it's okay. It could be worse, because it could be husband number two that was in our lives until the day that we die. Husband number two, I give him credit. I always have. He knew what husband number one wasn't, and he's the perfect chameleon. So he comes into the picture and is exactly who he needs to be, knowing that you'll fall in love with that version of him. And bravo to you, Mark. You did a great job.
Mhm.
Like, when you told me about him and then showed me pictures, like, I saw the setup, I saw the finish, and then I saw the aftermath.
Mhm.
So this is a guy that is very handsome, very charming, very eloquent, and is used to talking his way into getting his way. And I think it took him by surprise when you caught up to that and said, enough, I'm done, fuck you, there's no coming back from this. So I give you a lot of credit for recognizing that relatively early on.
Mhm.
I mean, how long were you married to him for?
18 months before all the shoes starting dropping, and then I was trying to save myself financially before filing for divorce, and just dug myself in a deeper hole. So I just pulled off the Band-Aid and just said, I'm already fucked.
So,
Let's just go further.
and how long were you married to husband number one for?
18 months.
So when we
But I knew husband number two longer than I knew husband number one.
But you had a baby with husband number one, so I think it's all 6 and 1, half dozen in the
Yeah.
other. Like, you can make up for the time with the pregnancy and the baby. Like, you know what I mean? They were both impactful in their own way. I'm just being selfish and bringing this back to me, because as part of our recent trip to Florida, we sort of decided on, we're not going to do the hotel thing for the guests. We're going to do the Airbnb thing. We're going to book it this week or next week. Like, we finally know the date and what we're going to do and who's going to get the save the dates. So if we get married January 2025, 12 months later is January 2026, February, March, April, May, June. So I should plan on being served by July 2026? Is that like the trend here?
That, or do I just wait till May of 2027 when one alimony ends and hit you for another?
Get fucked. You're not gonna make up for the money.
I would never do that.
You're not gonna make up for the money you lost on husband one and two.
No.
By taking from me, husband number three.
Well, and I paid out alimony too, or did not collect child support. So like, I get it. Like, I would never do that, but that was just so good. I had to do it.
If anybody, here's what's scary about what you just said. And I truly believe
people plan and do that.
You would never do this to me. But if there was ever anybody psychologically capable of playing the long game, it's you. Like, you could fucking play the long game just to do that. Keep me just happy enough to make sure I'm not getting suspicious. And then boom, boom, boom. Here it comes. Here it goes. You're done. Like, you are the person that would do that. But I don't.
Well, I technically did that for divorce number two.
But I don't think, what'd you get out of it?
Well,
you got a fake ring and
I didn't know
no money?
I didn't know the ring was fake.
He did. So that's right. You let it go.
He didn't get any money. I got stuck with the debt. But then when he was awarded the alimony, I put the conditions, and then he lost the alimony.
Right, because you knew that he was going to eventually shit on you.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a brilliant condition. I asked for it in mine, and my lawyer looked at me and kind of laughed. He goes, that's not a thing. I'm like, well, somehow she got it to be a thing. So essentially, like, if you go on Facebook, on Twitter, or send emails out to mass people shitting on the other person, it's
a defamation of character.
And that made the alimony null and void. And you knew it was only a matter of time before this fucker couldn't help himself, because his ego is so big that he had to try to bury you, and you knew that was going to happen. So I'm sure that he played the victim for a few months and then went on the offensive, and you knew that was going to happen. He was going to sulk and be the victim and then build himself back up and then go on the offensive, and that's what he did. But in the midst of all of that happening, you are a catch, and we talked about this with our friends this weekend. Like, you're a rare commodity. So You're like the ultimate partner. You are. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. So you satisfy that need for a man. You're sexual. You satisfy that need for a man. You're a wonderful mother. You satisfy that need. You're a dedicated worker, employee, and equal opportunity financial partner in the relationship. Not to mention everything else that you do to keep the house up, save us money, and you're the perfect 10 all the way around. You've been walked all over and stomped all over in different circumstances in life. So sometimes people think they can take advantage of that. And it took you into your mid 30s to finally stand up and say, no, I am the perfect 10 and you will not do this to me. So I feel like with husband number 2, when you did that and you divorced him, even though because the divorce was final, right? Before this happens.
The divorce was final, and coincidentally, 30 days earlier, the alimony got cut.
Okay, so he's operating from 2 spectrums here. Alimony gets cut. He needs to somehow try to find a way to recover that. But he's been not living with you for how long at this point?
9 months.
9 months. 9 months with... I don't like going 9 days without you. 9 months without you, especially after being married, raising children, having 1 good dog and 2 special dogs. Like, everything you guys did together. First month, you go back out and you party. You live it up. Second month, maybe you rebound a little bit. You know, second month, third month, and you're with a couple broads that don't matter, but you're rebounding. You don't care. By month 5, month 6, you're getting lonely. By month 7, month 8, you hate yourself because you're regretting every choice you made along the way. And I've learned this with you. Luckily, our disagreements, our fights are short-term. They're generally brought on by either the exes or too much alcohol. Like, we're guilty. It is what it is. But it's never about the fundamentals of our relationship. It's never about mistrust or...
We don't argue over money, with the exception of when you're like the deceit on the bracelet. But...
Well, that's kind of a joke. You know that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about money. But, like, you're not worried about me. You put me on credit cards that are worth upwards of $100,000. You're not worried.
But I also have you flagged for a certain number of transactions.
You don't have me flagged. You've got the card flagged.
I've got the card flagged. So if you go to spend like more than $750, it's going to ask me if it's okay.
But do you believe that there's a world that exists that I would go and spend $750 or more on one of your cards without us talking about it?
No, we always do. But if in the event that you ever go to try to do that,
I'm not wired like that. But I'm not wired like that.
Right. Well,
but this guy was.
Well, and if you go to do that and it's $750 or more, it better be a damn good gift for me.
So it's funny because
because if it's ever anything for the kids, you just say we have to do this for the kids.
But you have it both ways, and I understand why you do. It's mildly annoying on my end because there'll be times like, all right, so the $800 for the new air conditioner, right? The mini split. So like you got to plug it in and pay for it, and you get so fucking angry. Like it needs to send you a text, and there's 2-factor, and blah, blah, blah. But like those are all the protections that you have in place. So I know that if I ever go to spend that kind of money myself without you knowing, that there's going to be a text and there's going to be, a message from Barclays Bank, are you doing this? Like, I can't get away with shit. But I didn't need those protections in place for me not to steal from you.
Right. Yeah, those protections are just in place because money has been stolen from me.
So regardless, like he's stolen money from you, you've been divorced, all the ugly stuff, go back to episodes 2 through 5. You can hear it all, right? But he's still so charming and believes in his ability to bullshit his way through things. And this is where I give him some respect. Because I know you're angry most of the time. If you have a few drinks in you, maybe you would have reciprocated via the phone, via text, a little bit. I don't know. But 99% of the time, you're not interested. Like if the bridge is burned,
it's done.
You're not coming back. You're not rebuilding that bridge. Once that trust is broken, you may think you've repaired it for an hour because I was nice to you on the phone. But it doesn't ever mean, don't get that confused with
kindness later.
Like me being like soft and saying, when you're in town next week, let's go grab dinner, which will turn into the next weekend, let's watch a movie. And then a month later, you can sleep over. Like that's never going to happen. Once that bridge is burned, there are no sleepovers. And this guy knows this about you. He's married to you.
Well, and he was like, I'm stuck in a snowstorm. I was at like Tully BMW, closer to your house in Manchester.
Oh, this is a
Like,
separate story. Yes.
this is a separate story.
Right.
And
this before or after?
This was before.
So
this was like March, like halfway into the divorce, like 4 months into the divorce.
So you're not divorced yet?
No, we're divorced.
You're divorced. He's moved out.
He's moved out. He's gone. He's doing his own freaking thing.
And for the people that are listening outside of New England, you're in a town called Hudson. Manchester's 10 miles away, right?
10 miles north. And my house. So if he's at Tully BMW.
With the car that you bought him?
Correct. That he bought on one of the credit cards of mine, right? Which is why these things are in place, right? He's there getting service, supposedly. And it's a really bad snowstorm, which was true.
Not your problem.
Not my issue. And getting to my house is easier than driving in the snowstorm, risking death all the way to Manchester.
Did he write that in the text?
He did, like when I initially said no, then he lays it on thick, and I said, not my fucking problem.
Was it like a Friday night? What did he think was going to happen? Because if it's like a work night and you're getting up early the next day, even if you said yes and he convinces you to crack open a second bottle of wine, I feel like you're not going to go down whatever road he's hoping you go down.
No, but if I was to have like a friend call and say, hey, like I'm driving home from Burlington, Mass. I live in Hooksett. It's too far. Like, but I'm like close to where you are. Can I just come crash until the snowstorm is over? Abso-freaking-lutely.
You'd be the one to be like, I just got new snow tires. I'll come get you.
Like, yeah, leave your car where you are. Yeah. Like, I'll come get you. I've already got this in the crock pot. Something's over. Like, I got food. Like, I'm ready to entertain and set up a guest room at like 5 minutes notice at any given point. Not for him.
But when you guys, in fairness to him, when you guys finalized the divorce and in the week or two afterwards, I know there was a lot of communication back and forth because you're dealing with his daughter and you helped raise her and like there was,
and the school call.
Right, there's a lot of communication.
Yeah, if it had to do with something with his daughter, I would just like bubble it up.
What if he was with his daughter at that point?
Well,
What if she were in the car and he was afraid of death? How do you See, you are good at managing everything. This is the question I've been waiting for.
But there's a kid involved.
There is. Oh. But there's also the world's best con man involved. And if you let him in your house...
I would have suggested that his mother's house was just as close and he could go there.
What you should have said, and what I thought you would have said, was you would have pinned him on wherever he was map-wise on the phone.
And booked a hotel.
And booked a hotel for him because you knew at that point he no longer had access to your credit cards.
But I had Marriott points. I could have booked a free night. He could have had it exit 8. He could have gone right there.
And you said his credit score was worse than mine.
Yes.
Worse than mine used to be. Mine is spectacular now. Thank you, Katrina. And as some part of this podcast, whether it's a year from now, 2 years from now, we're going to start selling Katrina's credit repair. It's going to happen because you know how to do it and you do it. I've paid for credit repair. Like, in all honesty, like 3 or 4 times. And they do a good job
of like... But they guarantee you like in 5 to 7 years. Like you want to buy a house in like 6 months?
No,
like, that's not going to work.
No, they're good at getting the temporary boost. Like when I bought this house with the FHA, I had to get over a 620 by a certain date. And I was like at a 601. They know how to get you 60 quick points. But 30 days later, those points go away because all they're doing is disputing things. So while they're in dispute, they come off.
Right, but then when they come back with a vengeance.
But I've had over a 700 for 9 months now. Like, this is not temporary.
No.
One of them's a 758. Like, if you had asked me when you started fixing my credit a couple of years ago what my wildest dreams were of having my credit consistently be somewhere, like, give me high 6s. I'll be the happiest guy in the world. I know
675 actually was your answer.
Yeah, I know I'll have to pay a little bit more interest than you do, but I also will never have to go through the embarrassment of being turned down again. That's all I wanted. I never dreamt of being in the mid to high 7s. And it's only going to get better because at this point, we've got things under control. Every credit card that I use is either a shared one or the couple that I have for myself, we pay for out of an account that you run. Like, you see everything.
Like, please remember this. Like, we're going to go back to like week 23, this episode, when I want to spend a little bit more than you want to spend on our next house, because the difference in the interest rate that we're going to qualify for is going to justify me getting that house.
That house is going to be perfect and you're going to deserve it. Okay. So on the Sarasota trip, you love the house. There's certain things you love about it that you must have in your new house. You want the kitchen island. I think you want the kitchen bar too. Like, I think you like that. The bar, like where the bar thing is in the kitchen, so you can sit at the table or sit at that bar.
Oh yeah,
you want that.
Yeah.
But
well,
what you really want,
dining. Well, and I love the pantry.
you want the bathroom.
Yeah.
You want the bathroom. You want the walk-in pantry. You want the pool with a lanai. But again,
it's that perfect little patio where you can do a little doggy door, so the dog can go out into the little patio and do their business. And,
it's perfect. And that's what you want, and that's what you'll get. You might not get it in that same exact neighborhood.
Well, no, we're not getting. But I want that same footprint.
You'll get the footprint, and you'll get in a neighborhood within 15 miles of that neighborhood.
Oh, for sure. I'm just
saying. But we could have that tomorrow. You realize that?
Oh yeah, we could.
And spend less every month.
But we would be house poor.
No, I think our mortgage would be less than it is right now.
Oh, it would be because our credit is good.
Our credit is good, and based on what we owe versus what the house could sell for,
technically, in my real estate mind, what we could do is take a home equity loan out
right now
this house
and buy another house.
And skip the PMI, and our credit scores are good, and then try to rent it for a little bit. And we might actually make money on the deal, but I'm not ready to take that risk yet.
But, okay, this is not where the show is supposed to go. I know you're not ready to take it yet. Is that because of me? You're not committed to us?
No, I would just like to, we have $18,000 left in debt. I want that paid off before we make decisions.
So just to be clear, this is not $18,000 in irresponsible credit card debt. We own an awesome timeshare together, and I know people laugh at timeshares, but if you vacation and love to vacation like we do, timeshares are great. And you came into the relationship, and I owned a timeshare. We wanted to upgrade it together. So we turned in a portion of the old ownership. We took out with $20-something thousand, $21,000, whatever it was, to double it. And we maximize that every single year. So we owe 18 grand on it right now, which you plan to have paid off when?
By September
of this year. And we bought it last year?
In November.
So I know most motherfuckers out there take out $20,000 in timeshare debt, and they're
still paying for it for 30 years. Well, they're giving it away for free online.
They give you a 30-year mortgage for a timeshare for 20 grand. They treat it the same way they do a mortgage, and you're paying 150 grand in interest by the end of that. When we decided to do it, you were like, okay, based on what you pay for your son, what I pay for my kids, alimony, child support, based on our bonuses and our current jobs and our current bonuses, we are not going to talk about if things get better. Based on where we are right now, when can we have this paid off? And you were like, we can have it paid. And we're going to go back. The name of this episode is going to be 18 months. You literally said, in 18 months, we'll have this paid off, and it will not affect our month-to-month budget and our lifestyle.
No, the only sacrifice we had to make was that our honeymoon destination was going to change, because we were going to save 10 to 12 grand for a honeymoon to go to Italy. But we can only go in February, which is not the time to go to Italy.
It's less than ideal.
So then we're going to shift what we were going to spend to have that type of honeymoon, and instead we're going to put it into a timeshare so we can go to a Caribbean island, but then we can vacation that way forever.
But then when the kids are a little bit older and
once Connor is driving,
we can go to Italy. And it'll be, and by the time we do
that happens, there's no more money. There's no more alimony to pay.
So Italy will be much easier to accomplish because
we instantly earn money back from alimony payments going away.
Essentially, we've got a pay raise coming every year starting next year, for the foreseeable future.
All it is just a shift in destination and a shift in money to still get everything accomplished.
But we're not exactly roughing it for our honeymoon.
Oh, no.
We're
going to go to St. John.
I'm wicked looking forward to this. It's not Italy, but
we're going to be able to book a timeshare with a private pool.
Let me say this.
It's going to be a double-decker suite with a private pool in St. John, and we're going to then have tax returns and a third paycheck to be able to spend to go on a yacht for half the day, go on a catamaran, and not have a care in the world about spending the money. Now, are we going to have a luxurious April break with Connor? No, but I'm also not going to go, so we'll save that expense and you can take him, but you'll book the timeshare and it will be paid for.
Right, but he and I will probably go to Orlando for a long weekend. Yeah. You know what I mean? And do whatever he wants. But and
we're going to earn points from the flights.
And you'll take the break, you know, it's fine.
Yeah.
But in fairness, I'm Irish, you're half Irish. Like, so my cousin, we talked about on the podcast, like we hung out with him a few months ago.
Mhm.
He's 5 years older than I am, and his kids are 24 and 21. One's completely done with school, 26 and 21. The other one's graduating college this year. So they're all grown up, and he's 50. He's 6 years older, and his wife is 49. And they've dreamt about going to Ireland for 10 days forever. Could
Mhm.
never do it. They're still there now. They come back day after tomorrow, and the pictures they're posting are awesome. But that's something you do once the kids are old enough
Mhm.
and the financial burdens are behind you.
Yep.
Now, they didn't have the burdens of alimony and child support, but they did pay to send both kids to college.
Yeah.
And he's doing it on a cop salary, and she's doing it on a hairdresser salary.
Mhm.
Like, I applaud them. And this vacation they went on looks amazing. But they were also able to bring their kids. So there's a world that I want to live in where you and I get our dream, maybe 3-year anniversary, 5-year anniversary, honeymoon or second honeymoon in Italy. But then at some point, I know
Oh, like
I want
Ireland's
to,
on the list.
but I want to
Like,
take, I would love to take the kids, and I want to take all three of them to a destination they want to go to
mhm.
that has meaning for the family and meaning for our families together. And that's one of the cool things about you and I. We're both the same heritage. We're both
Well,
50-50,
and
Irish
the,
Italian.
well, and the thing that's good is with the timeshares, we can get 2 bedrooms, we can get 3 bedrooms, we can know and we can plan the next year that we're gonna go and then save the points to know we need to get a 3-bedroom suite instead of just a 1-bedroom condo or whatever it is.
Well, it's so that essentially, like, yes, you do all this saving for us, which is amazing. But then we come out and we're like, oh, we have $20,000 in timeshare debt. I don't want that to send the wrong message. It's not bad debt. It's
No, well, I just would like that to go away.
and it will.
I'd like to see what next year brings for like getting married. We consolidate health insurance, do all that type of stuff, and then we can discuss.
And then Caitlin comes off next year.
Right,
Like,
right, and then we can discuss like, do we do this or
do we wait a year? Like, what do we do?
yeah,
Because when we
yeah,
do it, I don't want to do it wrong. I want to do it right.
yeah.
I want to do it the right time of the year.
Mhm.
And a lot of that's going to depend on, like, at that point, Connor's going to be 16. He'll be driving, going into his junior year. Is he mature enough? Like, if I were a betting man when Roger were 16 driving, I would have said absolutely he's mature enough.
Absolutely.
At
Mhm.
18, I would have said no, he's not.
Correct.
He took a decline.
Yep.
So we don't know what's going to happen. Now, by the way, the decline's over. He just
Yeah.
had like a 12-month period where, like, the maturity, but that happens to all of us guys. We mature so much slower than women do.
Mhm.
And then we try to catch up real quick to impress you and to get laid. But then instinct takes over and
Yeah.
we're idiots again. I watched him go through that. Now, where Roger is 1,000%. We might go through that with Connor. So we're not going to commit to a date to do that trip, because even if we do it when you're 50 and I'm 52, we're still going to be the 2 hottest people in Ireland.
Well, and the other thing is, you're going to go on a trip like that. I don't want to stress about money. I just want to enjoy it and take all the experiences in.
Yeah. So we started this thing a long way of getting around. So these exes think, well, my ex thinks that I stalk her and she's afraid of me. But that contrast is in comparison to Katrina. So going back to where the story first started, you guys are divorced for 9 months at this point. You are hopping on a plane for what, like a long weekend?
Labor Day weekend.
A long
Mhm.
weekend to go see your friends in Texas. Now, in fairness to
I
your ex-husband,
Met them through them.
you met these friends through your ex-husband,
Mhm.
and he maintained a friendship with them post-divorce,
Hmm.
which at times did irk you.
Yeah,
You weren't totally comfortable with that.
no, but at the same time, I had such a connection with
With what?
with Amy.
Yeah, you can say the fucking names. We're not
Like,
using
I was
last
gonna
names.
Say like the woman or something.
We're not using last
Um,
names. It's fine. I mean,
I
there's
just want to
four-
come across like a lesbian or
well,
something.
listen,
No,
no,
I had a
she
really
had
good
she had a
friendship.
sexual connection
No,
with Amy.
I had a really good
When they
friendship.
scissor, they scissor.
Oh, stop it. When I had like we were like really good friends, and I love going to Texas, and it's
Oh, you
like,
are a Texan at heart.
well, it's like cheap to go out to eat. The food is good.
You
There's
deny
events,
you
different
won't deny it.
things, and
Why don't you
you know,
deny it?
Amy's parents have a beautiful house, and we can go sit by the pool.
Are you a Texan at heart?
I'm not a Texan at heart, but like I like going there.
Did you
They
ever?
have
Did you ever
so
say?
much live music.
Did you ever say to her, "I'm a Texan at heart"?
No, I never said
If
that.
I had a do-over in life, I'd want her to be here because I've said a million times, and you know this. Like, if I had a do-over in life, I would
Oh,
do it over in Nashville.
you know what? I did say that because at the time, like I always all the jobs I've had, I always have an opportunity to transfer to the Dallas area, and the housing is inexpensive. I could live on a street that's called Fred Astaire Lane
Yep.
and get the type of house that I like in Florida for like a fraction of what it costs in Florida
Yep.
and here. And I could make New England money transferring from
So
with
why
my
didn't you
job.
do it? But like long before me, why? Oh, because Big Roger would have said no.
Big
right?
Roger would have said no, and I had the opportunity with my current
Coming
job
up, coming
again.
coming up on next week's episode, we're gonna rely on you guys, the listener, to help us come up with a new nickname for Big Roger. This has been a problem for ex-husband number 2, for new husband number 3, and even for new husband's children. It is weird that your 20-year-old son, who is taller than I am now, and every time he comes here, he wants to stand back to back with me just to prove that he's more of a man.
I have a picture of that.
And by the way, he also has taken over my fucking seat at the head of the table, and you've said something to him twice, and he continues to sit there. He wants to be the big guy in the family. He can be. I will let him be the big guy in the family. But how much longer do I have to cuckold myself and refer to your ex-husband as Big Roger?
It's just routine.
Is it because of his dick?
No, it's because it was Little Raj and Big Raj. That's
Well,
it.
Little Raj was
It's
a little
not
man.
little.
Little Raj had a little dick.
I know.
Right? It
Little
says he was a little
Roger-
man. He was a little man.
Roger was a child.
Right, so he had a little dick.
I know. It's just habit.
But,
It's habit.
But Big Roger also knows that everybody refers to him as Big Roger.
He probably likes it. It's an
It's
ego.
in his signature line in his email. It says Big.
No, it does not.
Really? I'll bet you $1,000 it does. So if you go to his email, at the end of all of his coaching accolades, at the bottom of it, in quotes, it says Big Raj. It does. in italic, the italic writing, in quotes, Big Raj. So then I get cuckolded on day one. So I want to be friendly with him because I'm going to his kids' football games, and I got to refer to him as Big Raj. And I think to myself, like, holy shit, I'm just boyfriend Pat, and he's Big Raj.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. So coming up on next week's episode, can we find a new way
Nicknames?
to differentiate between the two? And I don't want to do this, so we don't have to differentiate between, is it 4 generations of Rogers? Because
Yes,
this family's
it
so
is.
fucking unoriginal that everybody's named Roger.
Well, and my son Roger's middle name is also my family name
Okay.
of David.
You
There's 4
keep-
Davids.
You keep bringing up the middle name part. Nobody
It's
uses
the
them.
weakest part. Well, it was we flipped a coin for the name, and like my daughter, if I had had a daughter, it would have had a stripper name, and so like
What was the stripper name?
it was like
Candace or something? Like,
no, it was like Skylar Moon.
oh, Sky, yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
Skylar, like some frou-frou name.
Hello,
like,
Southern New Hampshire.
that was his name.
Get your dollar bills together and welcome to the main stage. Tip your waitresses. It is Skylar Moon. All right, that is the life that he wanted to choose for your daughter. But then, whatever.
I wanted like a Brianna. And
Yeah,
we
you
call
want
her Bree,
sure.
and I love cheese.
Well, didn't you?
and, like,
Don't you like Connor
and
or
so-
Cameron? Like, weren't those names that you were kicking around too?
No,
I thought Cameron was.
no. It was Cameron is actually a name that your ex-wife kicked around.
No, it wasn't. It was one that we considered but we didn't because
it's in the baby
right.
book.
It is, but that wasn't it. I thought you and I had one in common that we had kicked around for the.
No, I had Andrew Michael
Andrew's the one that is in the baby book too.
because his initials would have spelled ammo, and I liked that with my dad being in the military. I thought
Sure.
it was a cool sports name.
Yeah.
And then the other one was Jordan, and that was from Michael Jordan,
So then,
which coincidentally ended up being
Wait a minute.
my
Wait a minute.
my last name.
So wait a minute. So if Jordan had one,
Yeah.
and then you guys get divorced, stepfather Mark Jordan comes into the picture. Is there a world that exists where little Raj is Jordan? There is.
I guess that could have been for like a hot minute, but I doubt it.
No, if your marriage had worked,
Yeah.
because little Raj was how old when you guys got married?
Like he was 6 when we met, so like 9.
Okay, and at the time, I give credit to Big Roger, welcome to the main stage, and his family, like they were always involved, but you were the primary parent.
Yes.
right? Okay, so there is a very real world that exists where at 9 years old, like by the time he's 13, he is referred to as
Jordan.
maybe the world gives him a break and he becomes JJ because Jordan would have been really bad, like really bad. He's a cute basketball player, but he's not a very good one.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of pressure.
Well, and so then my other name was Hunter Green.
That's the one that one would have been my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind the name Roger at all. I just think it's hilarious that like when I met all of them at one time,
Like,
it was like I'm shaking hands, like going down like a receiving line almost. Like, hi, my name is Roger. I am Patrick. My name is Roger. I am Patrick. I'm Roger. My name is Patrick. There's another Roger. Like, holy shit, nobody had an original thought in 112 years of this family's legacy. They're all the same name. And it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, had you met my mother's side of the family, you would have met my two Uncle Davids, and my grandfather's name is David. So it would have been David.
And if my family wasn't dead, you would have met 1,000 Johns and Josephs. Like, that's what they are.
That's what it was.
It is what it is. But I never wanted to give my son my name. I just wanted him to be able to live his own life and not be in my shadow.
Yeah.
But that's me, but regardless. So this guy, 9 months into the divorce, he's gone through all the stages of regret and withdrawal and having to come to grips with losing you. But I understand his mentality. He's got to make one last giant attempt to get your attention and to try to salvage something here, whether it's salvage the alimony or salvage a relationship. He's so deluded, I can picture him in his own brain thinking, if I can just get 3 hours alone with her, we'll be getting remarried in Aruba by this time in January. Like, that's how he thinks. He thought he was going to be a movie star. He's an optimist. So what does he do? After all the failed attempts to communicate, what does he do?
At some point, he logged into my United Airlines account, found out my trip information and my flights, and here I am.
So he found out that you were flying to Texas.
Yeah.
Saw your seat on the plane.
Well, so initially what happened was there was 2 legs of the flight. So the first leg was out of Manchester. And
this is so smart.
So we're flying out of Manchester. I have no idea. I am... I go and I get my water at Hudson News. I go to the bathroom a couple times. I have my routine. At the time, I was working for Bob Dale Gloves, so I had like sales and things going on.
So you're paying attention to your laptop.
Right. I had POs come in, so I wanted to send them in that way it could be done.
He knows all this is happening.
Right. So I'm in the airport standing at the desk thing where you can have your computer plugged in. I'm waiting for the flight. I'm flying by myself. I have no one to talk to.
You're not, though.
Well, so I thought. So I'm just like, I have my comforts of flying. I'm on my laptop. I'm just getting stuff done until I get onto the flight, minding my own business. I get on the flight. When you get on a United Airlines plane in Manchester, there are 3-seaters. So you have one on the left-hand side. There's 2 seats on the right. So I get on. I have flown so many times at this time. I'm like flying a lot to Canada. So my points, my status, I got club access. I'm badass at traveling at this point. And I'm in my seat in the front of the plane on the 1-seater side. And I'm texting with my dad just to be like I'm on the flight, X, Y, and Z. He's still an air traffic controller. So every time I flew... He
wants to know what flight number is so he can watch it.
I gave all the specifics and I get all the inside details, or whoever was working that on the radar knew Dave's daughter's on this flight, right?
Pay attention. There'll be no accidental bumping into another plane.
No, it just good dad status. You just want the updates, right? Yeah. So I give that, and then the next thing I know is the flight is still boarding, and my second ex-husband walks by on the same flight. Now, mind you, this plane probably holds 40 total passengers.
So when he walks by that first time, because it gets better after the layover.
Yeah.
But when he walks by that first time, does he tap you on the shoulder? Does he look at you?
He says, "Hey, how's it going?" and smiles.
So at this point, are you realizing that he's planned this? Or do you still think it's accidental? Because is he working at this point?
I don't know. We've been divorced for 9 months.
Of course you know. No, you kept tabs. He's friends with the friends you're going to go see. You girls talk. I'm sure you got the updates along the way.
Well, at that point, what I was told is they hadn't really heard from him. There hadn't been a visit. Like, they didn't have much information. So, whatever.
Because you weren't asking.
I really didn't care.
Yeah. But alimony's been cut.
Alimony's been cut.
So
it's over.
He's not getting a check.
No.
Okay.
So then the next text message to my dad goes, "You're not going to believe who just walked onto the plane. Like, I'm going to text you when I get to Chicago. In the event that you hear that there is an episode and, like, emergency response needs to go to the plane, know that it's me and send bail money."
So what people need to know is, I believe at this point, the last interaction between your father and Mark must have been 10 months before this.
When he had to come collect his stuff and I wasn't there.
And your father nearly put Mark in a body bag.
Correct.
Okay. Because whether Dave is, fat, kind of like handicappy, but not as fast as he used to be Dave now, or Dave back then, Dave is a fucking badass. And if you fuck with one of his daughters, Dave will murder you and you will never find, those body parts will never be found.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll continue with life and go get his $5 Mai Tais on Thursday.
And his monthly pedicures and...
Not a single fuck will be given if you fuck with one of his girls. And he's skilled enough to pull this off. Like, it's fine. Like, this is what he's a trained assassin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you call it special forces. He knows that he is a trained assassin.
Mm-hmm.
So the last interaction was Mark's life being threatened,
mm-hmm.
and then eventually Mark backing off because he knew his life was threatened.
Mm-hmm.
That was his father-in-law. And he was like, oh shit, I got the wrong side of Dave now. And Mark left with his tail between his legs, and that was it.
That was it.
So what is Dad's response to... Because I'm surprised Dad didn't say to you, be the bigger woman, get the fuck off the plane.
I couldn't get off the plane because they had already sealed the door, so he was one of the last to get on, so you can't get off.
He did that on purpose, too?
Yes.
He trapped you.
Yeah. So here I am, trapped on this plane.
So you were uncomfortable. So it's an hour-and-a-half flight from Boston to O'Hare?
Yeah.
New Manchester to O'Hare. It's an hour and a half. I do the flight all the time.
Yeah.
And I know you. You bought a plane. You're comfortable flying, but your ears pop. You don't sleep well.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a nervous flyer, but you're kind of jittery just because you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But you're also one that if you're fighting with somebody or there's a problem at work, your stomach is in knots.
I'm like, just leave me the fuck alone.
Like it forces, like, sometimes if the fight is bad enough, like,
I'll throw up.
If you're not due for your period, like, it'll come.
Yeah.
Like, your body responds to tension in every way.
Yeah.
You must have been, like, dying.
Well, so we're on this flight. He's like 6 rows behind me. This whole thing is going on. My dad's response was epic. He goes, "We have some type of protection with a AAA card where your bail can be up to $30,000. Try to take it easy on him." That was his text message back to me.
Dave, I understand.
Which was awesome. So we're on the flight. We're doing the whole thing. About 30 minutes into the flight, there is an episode on the flight. Not involving us, but there is, like, a special needs person on the flight who's having, like, a mental breakdown and, like, needs to actually be restrained by the stewardess because it was, like, a violent breakdown.
But your dad at the FAA and his friends are watching
getting this update and is thinking...
It's you and Mark.
Yeah, like, something's happened, right? And so, like, we get to Chicago, we taxi, they do the whole thing, they have the emergency response, like, the police department comes on and takes this guy off, and, like, at this point they've established, like, there's some type of mental thing, so they are being respectful and, like, handling it. But it was, like, a scary and intense situation, and I have to text message Dad and be like, so we had an episode, they are taking somebody off the plane, but it has nothing to do with me.
Yep. And he was relieved at that point.
Yeah. So I get off the plane and I go to the United Club because at this point, like, he only had United Club access
because of you,
by association with me.
But he still had it.
So I'm thinking I can get to the United Club and he's not included anymore, so I can have exclusivity and avoid him.
Be left alone.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get in the club and, like, first thing I do whenever I get off the plane is go to the bathroom. The bathrooms in Chicago are so much nicer in the club than they are in the actual terminals.
Yeah, the terminals.
I mean, it's since remodeled, but back then.
It's still gross.
Yeah. So I go and do that. I come back out, and at this point, I'm like, I'm on vacation. It's a Friday. Drinks are free. I need a fucking drink.
Yeah.
So I order my drink. My drink comes and...
So has Mark not texted you at this point?
No.
So on the flight with the Wi-Fi, he didn't text you. Getting off the flight, didn't text you. He didn't send you a drink on the plane.
Well, I got to get off the flight first. No.
But there was no attempt at communication. Hey, when we get to Chicago, let's talk or nothing.
No. So my next communication point was in the club, my drink is getting delivered, and this is the person sitting next to me at the bar.
Is Mark. So did you say to him, this is not your membership, get the fuck out?
Well, I was just...
Or did you say, hey, how you doing?
No.
When you get uncomfortable, you get friendly.
Well, so then he's like, oh, what a coincidence. And, like, how are you? How's Raj? How's your dad? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, they're fine. And I just want to get on my next flight because it's only like 45 minutes to my next flight. Like the layover was like a short time. So
you were late over. The flight from Chicago to Texas is long.
Right.
But you had 45 minutes to kill.
I had 45 minutes to kill till I could board the next flight. So I'm like, I just need to remain calm, take advantage of the free services at United, and do that. So then I excuse myself, and you can go and you can get like a business room to set up your laptop. And like if you have calls and conferences and stuff, I get a second glass of wine because now things have upped the ante. And I reserve a room.
Yep.
So I go in and I do a couple different emails. I call my dad. He calms me down. I think I called my sister. We do whatever. I go to the bathroom again so that I can go and like board the flight. And so then I go to board the flight and...
Now, mind you, as you're surprised at everything that happens from this point on, this guy knows your destination, has booked the same destination. So you don't know when you go to board the flight, you don't know that he's following you. Like you don't know that he's going to be with you.
No,
because while you guys were sitting together at the bar, he never said, "Are you going to Texas?"
Oh yeah, no, that never came up.
But he knew.
But he knew I didn't know.
Because he also knew that if he gave you that window of knowledge, you would have called Amy and said, "I'll see you on another weekend. I'm going home."
I would have booked a flight and gone right back the fuck back home, or I would have booked a hotel and just stayed in Chicago.
Right. But he knows that there is no way in hell that you'd be comfortable
continuing the trip. No way.
Yep.
So
smart guy.
So here I am, and again, like I'm high in the ranks for United. So it's very common that if you book like a regular ticket right before you go to board, you get upgraded.
Yeah, but you guys still had married status, so whatever status you have, he's still sharing.
Well, I had ended the married status.
Yeah, he's still taking advantage of it. He got into the executive club.
So what happened is then I'm upgraded, and it didn't seem unusual to me. And then we go through the same routine where then he boards after me before, like right before the door goes.
Yeah, but you're on the right-hand side now, the two-seater.
Well, it's 3 and 3, so it's like a big jet.
It's a bigger plane. Okay.
Yeah, it's a big jet going. And so then he goes and he sits. So I've got my upgraded seat. He's got an upgraded seat, and he's in the seat right next to me.
Are you on window, he's middle, or?
I'm on window, he's in middle. Mm-hmm.
So United didn't upgrade you?
No.
He did.
He went into the account, paid, and upgraded for our seats to be together.
Did he think that was going to start to make up for the money that he, like $100,000 that he owed you? Or
and so then it's like, now we're going to chat me up? Like, are you fucking kidding me? So then I asked the flight attendant...
For a new seat.
Can I go back to the seat like I originally booked? I don't need the upgrade.
Send me to the bathroom in the back.
Right. And I start like doing this whole thing. And she's like, well, what's the problem? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, we're divorced. My flight got seat. This is my ex-husband. Like, I don't want to sit here. So then the people in front of me are looking at me like, are you kidding? Like, is this the whole thing? And, what is
he saying at this point? Is he like, calm down, it'll be fine?
He's smiling and laughing. And the flight attendant goes, unfortunately, the flight's fully booked. We've cleared the standby list. There's no other seats. And so then 3 people offer to switch seats with me.
Yep.
And she says, no, according to FAA regulations.
Yeah, post 9/11, you're fucked.
Yeah, if we were to go down, you have to be in your assigned seat, blah, blah. It's not like Southwest where you can get up and move.
Yeah.
Like United, you're stuck to that seat.
Yep.
So I have to sit here.
Now, we're running low on time. So you guys are on the flight for a few hours together.
Yeah.
Does he at any point, do you guys talk the whole time?
Well, so he tries to talk to me. I do the bitch move where I put my headphones in.
That's
do
not a bitch
different
move.
things.
You love me, right?
Yeah, but
What do you do?
I always give you a warning saying, all right, like at this point I need to put my headphones
Well,
on. I'm
we
sorry,
do the
but
same thing at a
like,
gym.
yeah.
Like we'll sit there and walk next to each other before one of us starts to run for 10 or 15 minutes, and then whenever it's time to actually start moving,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, honey, in 2 minutes I gotta throw my headphones on, I gotta start running. Same thing on a plane. Like
Yeah.
you'll hold my hand through the takeoff because I hate it,
Right.
and then it's like, all right, we both know headphones go in.
Right.
He knows this about you too. He was married to you.
Well, and we traveled all the
So
time.
was it a? Oh, I'm sorry, you guys lived the jet setter lifestyle, building. So you traveled all the time. How much debt did you guys incur?
Ridiculous.
How much debt do we incur?
None.
Do we travel all the time?
Yep.
Who's a better partner?
You are.
Damn straight.
So then I take the selfie picture to send my dad saying,
You took a selfie?
well,
Like you were like, Mark, hey, come here.
No.
Put my arm around you. Like
No, I did it like in a sly way.
he knew you took it though, didn't he?
Probably. In a sly way to say, okay, so now like we're going to the same destination. He's changed my seats. We're actually here. Like I could actually have an episode for the next flight, and here's all my details.
Did at any point during that flight, did he confirm to you that his destination was not only the same city, but it was the same house that you were going to?
It was not the same house.
Well,
but
it was
the same destination.
He was visiting the same people.
In a different like around the block.
Okay,
yeah.
Whatever. Like he was there for the same reason you were there.
Yeah.
He was going to be at the party that weekend. He was whatever you were doing.
Like my entire plans had to change.
He was going to be there
as a result
for it.
of this. And so as he started to like give me a hard time on the flight, he's got like multiple phones.
Well, he's a drug dealer.
Well, not only that, but like these are like dating app messages. Like somebody's sending him.
He's doing that
like,
to make you jealous.
An inappropriate picture and doing this whole thing. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God, like this is.
Did it bother you?
No, it didn't bother me. And it didn't bother me to the point where he asked me why it didn't bother me. And I was like, I don't fucking care. And so then the guy who was in front of me then rings his call light and he bought me a drink and apologizes. This is a situation that I'm in. Like everybody surrounding where we were sitting were so nice.
When did you realize that not only, like, there was no relief when you got off the plane? So you're stuck in this travel hell for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to at least take a deep breath. I'm going to be with my girlfriend for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
When did you realize that the rest wasn't coming? Like there was no taking a break from this.
So we get off the plane. We go to walk outside. I'm getting picked up by Amy.
He says, let's share a cab.
He's getting picked up by somebody else.
That you knew?
That I knew. And so when like we're out there and I'm waiting for Amy to pick up, who's now sent me the text message that she's running late and is freaking out because she was working the morning at her job.
Yeah.
And this person that we have as a mutual friend gets out and is all excited to pick him up. And is like, oh my God, Kat, like, I'm so happy to see you, blah, blah, blah. Like, and this is such a surprise. And I was like, we're not here together.
Like, but were you angry at all when everything sort of calmed down and you realized you got played? Were you angry at all that your friends and God bless them, they're good. They spent time they slept at our house.
Yeah.
Like they're good people. Were you angry at all that they knowingly put you in this situation? They tried to, like, do they not know the details of the divorce? I feel like they tried to get you guys back together because Mark said, I fucked up. I'm so sorry. I love her so much.
I don't think they knowingly did it. And when he showed up at the house later and like a drunken stupor.
What do you mean they did? Of course they did, because they invited both of you to their event.
Well, it wasn't their event. We were going to a different event.
But that person, whoever, it was a mutual friend of yours, he knew they invited both people.
But like everybody in Texas is going to like the same event. So we didn't go and we changed our whole weekend plans. But it was so uncomfortable. So then finally Amy shows up and she picks me up and we leave. And we just we're like going to go to a restaurant. So we go to a restaurant, we do the whole thing. And we're at that restaurant like 20 minutes. And then he shows up.
Of course he was, because they were all in on it.
And then it's like...
It's so cute that you don't think Amy was in on it.
And here's the kicker.
You don't think Amy sent a text and said, we're here?
So then he orders shots for salted toast that we're divorced, and I'm like, happily divorced.
Last time you guys went down that road, he had a good night. Right? Like, I'm dead serious. Like he's he's playing the game well.
And so at this point, like, I'm like I'm not on a plane. I'm not going to get arrested. I'm just going to be a super fucking bitch. And so then he does the mic drop where he's ordered all these drinks, he's ordered these shots for us to do the thing, and he leaves and puts it on my tab.
Yeah, good for him. But then, were you afraid for the next 72 hours until the weekend was over that he was on your flight home? Like, how did you avoid that?
So I ended up canceling my United flight home.
Because you knew that he was...
obviously, he had tracked the airline.
Yeah.
I rebooked with Southwest, and I came home a day earlier, and I just put them, like, I was still paying off the debt. So, like, money was, like, penny pinched. And I had booked this flight on points to go. I didn't have to spend any money to stay. Like, it was supposed to be
a cheap, fun weekend.
A weekend away on the cheap, which turned into me having to buy a ticket home that I really couldn't afford. And I couldn't go home that day. And it was stupid money. It was like close to $1,000 to go home the next day, which was Saturday. So instead, I took a flight home Sunday because I think it was like $435. And I was like, well, that's at least more reasonable. So I sucked it up and got through Saturday. And then I left Sunday, and it like ruined the whole weekend. But like I couldn't wait to get home. And
so just in case, because we got 2 minutes here, just in case my ex happens to listen or her friends happen to listen, that is what you fuckers call stalking. That is dangerous. That is intimidating. Like that's
that is
real.
Like physical threat.
Like
yeah.
that's everything. That's every divorced woman's, especially the way you guys got divorced, like worst fear.
Nightmare.
And he psychologically and physically tormented you for multiple hours. And then sort of held it over your head for your weekend getaway. So all these months you're looking forward to this, working your ass off 80 hours a week to pay off this debt, saying, at least I have this coming up.
Yeah.
And then he ruins that too.
Right.
That is what
and
dangerous
then it
is.
still cost me money to like fly home and get the fuck out of there earlier.
Plus the tab that you got stuck with for all the shots. And you don't even do shots.
No, and it was Patron tequila. It was expensive.
Did you do a shot with him?
Well, once I got the tab, I was like, I'll take the shot.
Did you do a shot with him?
No, I was like, I'll take my shot now.
Okay, because you already paid for it.
And it's on the table.
Yeah, so there's that. So this all, we'll wrap it up with this. That is a dangerous ex. Luckily, he only tries to communicate with you once or twice a year now, and it's not direct communication. It's just when he tries to log into one of your credit cards or bank accounts and steal your money.
Yep.
But you have so many protections in place that the joke's on him.
Yeah.
But God bless him, he still tries. My ex has, I present no danger to her. I am madly in love with you. You are a massive upgrade. And all I want is a simple co-parenting relationship where we are pleasant to one another.
It doesn't even have to be friendly. It just has to be
pleasant, respectful, like a head nod. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right? So during the summertime, we have a different schedule because school's not involved. So I got to bring him to his mother's house on Wednesday mornings for exchanges instead of the school bus, or instead of her picking him up from school at 3 o'clock. And exchange is supposed to be around 9 o'clock. So I bring him there on my way to work. She bought a house on this little side dirt road that's technically a private drive. It's not private. Like it
means private as in like you have to have a reason to be driving on the road. No, it means
private as in the town says we don't have to snowplow here.
We're not going to plow it. But if you have a reason to drop your child off at the house, you could drive on the road.
So again, Connor is a mature kid. He looks older than he is, but he's still 12 right now. And he and his sister have been through a lot.
Isn't he 13?
I'm sorry, he's 13. He'll be 14 soon. He's 13. But like, he's been through enough emotional turmoil throughout his whole life, and he's got enough challenges that he deals with where like, we don't need to add more drama onto the plate, right? Like the drama is what I think damages the kids more than anything.
Yeah.
So mom's not home. She's at work, thank God. And I'm just dropping him off 9 times out of 10 to an empty house, or if somebody's there, his sister's there.
Right.
I'm not allowed to drop him off at his doorstep. I have to drop him off on the side of a main road so he can walk up that dirt road a half a mile, because the email that she sent was that she was afraid of me. It's threatening. She doesn't want me near her house. She doesn't feel safe. So then
she's not even home.
She's not even home. So then the first time I do this 2 weeks ago, I go to bring Connor home and I'm like, I can just drop you off at the house. Mom's not there. And he looks at me. He's like, yeah, I really don't feel like walking up there. And then he goes, geez, on second thought, Dad, if Mom finds out, it's just going to turn into a shit show, and I don't want you to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I'm okay walking. I'm like, all right. So now it'll be the 3rd week of doing this, day after tomorrow. And it's like, you want to talk about permanently psychologically damaging a kid and having that kid believe that his father really is a physical threat to his mother, do this. Like, this is ingraining in him everything she's ever said about me that's been untrue. Now, without any communication with her, she has solidified it through a physical activity that he must do to get home safely. That's fucking crazy. She is the crazy stalker. He is the crazy stalker. You and I are just trying to take care of our kids.
How do we end it?
Go on a trip.
Like, how do we make it as simple as possible?
And these fuckers can't let it go.
Well, that's the thing is, like, at the end of the day, when you get divorced, it sucks. It's never easy. It's never pleasant, but you have to move forward.
Yes. And a lot of times people are just not capable.
And it's like, either if you're in a relationship where you've gotten divorced and both people can move forward and go along to get along enough for the children, you're winning.
We'll do another episode on divorced husband number 1 and overdoing going along to get along coming up later this season on Let's Chat with Cat and Pat. But I'd rather have it that way than this way all day long.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Like that comes with its own challenges, and some of those challenges continue to, like, they'll follow you throughout your life because
and
you were so good. But at least you didn't.
It's pleasant, and our kid is not
Well, that's what it's at least. No matter what I say, no matter how we feel about the way you handled it at the time, you both. Well, you did the heavy lifting, but you both did it in a way where what I just started that segment with, talking about Connor being a 13-year-old kid and doubling down on the psychological damage, at least you guys didn't do that.
Well, no, we walked into each other's houses and hung out in the doorway and chit-chatted for 5 or 10 minutes on, like, this is the comings and goings of our child. This is what we have going on. I'm going to have this work schedule conflict, but he has this practice. Like, what can we do?
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Which to me seems
anyways,
like that's the best case scenario.
You've been stalked. I have been accused of stalking. Another thing that makes us work. That'll do it for week number 23 of Let's Chat with Cat and Pat. My name is Patrick Gilroy. Her name is Katrina Pateri. If you like what you hear, please tell your friends. Find us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and as part of the Kirk Minahan Network on YouTube.